Hello class, today we're going to be skipping ahead to 7.4, the Pythagorean Theorem. Already before you should have watched this video to give you a visual in terms of what the Pythagorean Theorem is. So we have this formula. This is what the theorem is. A squared plus b squared will equal c squared. Now that a is going to be on this side, b will be down here, and c is this hypotenuse, which is the longest one. So let's take a look. A and b are called the legs, right? So these are the legs of the triangle. And then we have C, which is called the hypotenuse, which is our longest line on the triangle. And A, B, and C is a right triangle. So this Pythagorean theorem works for all right-angled triangles. So you'll always see this little box in the corner, and that's how you know that that is indeed a 90-degree angle. So as we saw in the video, we have A squared. So A squared means we are timesing it by itself, not timesing it by 2. So that would be length times width. So we're going to get a square. Same with along here. We have length times width. And if we were to make those squares, if we were to make a square then of this back one here, we would find that it would be the same area. So let's take a look at some examples on how to do this with math. So we have our a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Please remember to always write your formula. So we have a and b. This doesn't really matter which one a and which one b is. But they are the two shorter ones. So we see that one of them is 8 meters, the other one is 7 meters. So we're going to plug that in. A equals 7 or 8. So 8 squared, that would be 8 times 8, which gives us 64. And we have 7 squared, so 7 times 7, which gives us 49, will equal h squared. As you can see, our line is labeled as h with our variable. So h squared will equal those two put together. So 64 plus 49 gives us 113 equals h squared. And now you can see this little symbol here. This is our square root. It will look like that on your calculator. So we should see a little check mark down and then up. It'll look something similar to that on your calculator. Use that button once you have 113. So that's the square root of the number, and that gives us 10.6. And I want you to note that I only want you to round to 1 decimal place. All right, let's continue on to our next one. So finding the length of one of the legs. So now we're going to go opposite. So now we know different information. So again, we're going to plug in and then solve. There's two different ways that we can do this. So first we can do it, plug it in and then solve, and then go from there. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We're starting with our formula. A squared equals 20, or a equals 24 centimeters. 24 squared equals 576. We don't know what b is, so we're going to keep it as b as we go through. And c is 26 centimeters long, so we're going to plug that in. So 26 squared, so that's 26 times 26, gives us 676. Now, we remember from our algebra unit, we want to get our variable on their own. So we see that this is a positive 576. So we need to subtract the opposite function, subtract 576. So 676 subtract 576 will give us 100. Then we see that we need to get rid of the squared on this side. So we need to do our square root. And that gives us just b on this side. And we do the square root of 100. And that gives us 10 centimeters. So that's our one way. Our second way is we can rearrange, then plug in. So what we can do is we can do the step that we did down here first, and then plug it in. Then we can solve it the way we did up here. So first thing we need to do is we see that this is a positive a squared. So we need to subtract a squared, put it over to the other side. So now we're left with b squared equals c squared minus a squared. Now it's very important that we always keep this order the same. Whenever we put it in, we always want to tack that in on the end. So we have b squared equals 26 squared minus 24 squared. Now we can't just go 24 or 26 minus 24 and then square it. We'll get a very different number. So we need to square it out first, then we can solve. So again, the numbers that we already know, 676 subtract 576 will give us 100. We need to do the square root. So we do the square root of 100, which gives us 10 centimeters. All right, now I want you to work on the practice questions.